Direct deposit.
Sports writer Tom Boswell once said this about baseball: "It's a religion that worships the obvious and gives thanks that things are exactly as they seem. If only that were so." But this week's issue of Sports Illustrated shows a very ugly side of baseball, and it's a tough read for anyone who loves the game. It's about the use of steroids and other performance-enhancing drugs, a problem so widespread that players even have a nickname for the rare times when they are not using them. Playing naked, they say. We'll talk with the reporter on the story in a few moments, but first we'll hear from a one-time star, a major league star, who confesses to a half a decade of steroid use, a story reported by Bob Facella of CNN-SI.
Ken Caminiti was once one of baseball's best players. In 1996, he was a unanimous choice as the National League's most valuable player. It's his greatest individual accomplishment. It's also an honor that is tainted by his disclosure that he spent much of the season on steroids.
I took a black market deal, and it's the worst thing I did, because I got the strength, whatever, I built the muscles up.
In April of '96, Caminiti had suffered a shoulder injury. He decided to take steroids to help him play through the pain.
Like I said, I was trying to do anything to play, and I knew I was tore up. So I said, okay, dude, hold together, hold together, hold together. And I played that whole year. I was MVP. And now I look back and saying, I cheated almost,
The steroids made Caminiti a better player. He had 40 home runs in that '96 season. Neither before nor after would he ever reach 30. His 130 RBIs were 36 more than in his next best season. In a lengthy interview with Tom Verducci of Sports Illustrated, Caminiti said he continued to use steroids for the rest of his career that ended just last season. He also said that his steroid use was not the exception, but the rule. It's no secret what's going on in baseball. At least half the guys are using it. They talk about it. They joke about it with each other. Caminiti also told Sports Illustrated, quote, "At first I felt like a cheater, but I looked around and everybody was doing it. Back then you had to find it in Mexico or someplace. Now it's everywhere. It's very easy to get."
No number would shock me because I think it's prevalent out there without a doubt. I just wouldn't know a percentage at all, but I'm sure it's higher than anyone thinks.
Like Rogers, Curt Schilling is dismayed by what he sees as a game radically changed by steroids. He told SI, quote, "You sit there and look at some of these players and you know what's going on."
It's not an even playing field in that respect, but I've dealt with it my whole career. My benefit for me is I can look in the mirror every day, whether I succeeded or failed, and I knew it was me out there, and that's my satisfaction.
Major League Baseball does not currently test its players for steroids, so the number of users is difficult to pin down. But Commissioner Bud Selig agrees that bodybuilding drugs are a problem in his game, and he says that something must be done. Any testing program will have to be agreed to by the players as part of a collective bargaining agreement.
I wish we would never have to worry about this subject, but it's something we're going to have to deal with. It's not going to happen anytime soon, I don't think, but one day it will. The saddest part is it's probably going to be when something drastic happens to someone.
Tom Verducci wrote the story for Sports Illustrated, and we'll talk to him after this break and some other assorted business. This is Newsnight.
Sony Music, with whom Jackson has been feuding, called his comments ludicrous, spiteful, and hurtful. Baseball Hall of Famer Rod Carew touched off a Major League rhubarb this week when he called for random testing of baseball players for steroids. With baseball still mourning one of its greatest heroes of the past, Lee Cowan tells us the doubts are growing about the heroes of today.
As a rookie, Ted Williams said he only wanted one thing: to be the greatest hitter the game ever saw. He said that in 1939. Just 2 years later, he batted over 400, and not a single player has done it since. He was everything most modern-day All-Stars aren't. He was tall, lanky, just 172 pounds. The sluggers chasing after his record these days are bigger, faster, stronger, and also under suspicion.
I think steroids has turned the game into a laughingstock. I think the record book is being shredded like an Enron document.
Goodbye, home run, Ken Caminiti. The shredding began anew this season when former MVP Ken Caminiti claimed as many as half of baseball's best were popping steroids, himself included.
I was trying to do anything to play, and I knew I was tore up.
The problem is no one knows for sure if the accusations are right. Unlike the NBA or the NFL, So far, there is no random drug testing in the major leagues. In fact, there's not even a policy against the use of steroids.
I think that somewhere along the line, they're going to have to address the problem.
Bobby Brown is a retired heart surgeon and former president of the American League. He's best known, perhaps, for playing third base for the Yankees.
It's not just so much that you're talking about records. You're talking about future health problems that could be really significant and really life-threatening.
But it's come down to more than the health of the players. It's also become an issue for the health of the game.
No one believes the numbers anymore. Everything comes out of a pharmacist's bag. You know, we're not sure what's real and what isn't.
And some old-timers agree.
When we played, nobody was built like the players are nowadays. So Yogi and I don't really know much about, steroids. We take an aspirin once in a while or something.
Baseball will always have its charming heroes. It'll always have its fans, too. But few would argue that the best of both only comes when the game and the players are pure. Lee Cowan, CBS News, New York.
Acclaimed film and television director John Frankenheimer died today of a stroke. He was 72 years old. He directed such classics as Birdmen of Alcatraz. The